well. And so that way you can access it later. So this is kind of the beginning parts of agent on the go or becoming the ultimate mobile agent. Now, for a background for some of you, just so you know, is I'm Amy Smythe Harris. Own my own brokerage firm, Urban Provision Realtors. I opened in December of last year. We are now in Austin and Dallas, as well as Houston. And I am living in California and getting my license there to open the brokerage firm out here as well. So I'm back and forth between the two cities. I still sell in Houston. I still sell remotely. And so have an idea for you guys that you can still sell real estate virtually like I do. And I'll give you some of those tips for what you're doing. So I still have clients. I'm about ready to put 2 new listings on the market in the Woodlands area. And the clients know that I'm in California and that I won't be back into Houston area until December. And they are totally fine with that. So I'm very lucky that my client base, I don't want to say maybe I've set the expectations with them that they don't need me to show them property. Anybody can show them property. I'm there to facilitate and negotiate all on the back end. So just so you guys have some background of, I kind of walk the walk and talk what I'm doing. So this is no different than what you can be doing. I just want to give you ideas for you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and show my screen for you guys. And hopefully you are seeing this. So we're going to start with just some basics. And then we are going to go ahead and go through, I'm going to show you kind of live some of the things for you. So you cannot become a mobile agent and do the things that I do. And guys, when I talk about being a mobile agent, truthfully, I was on the way to Big Bear last weekend in California. I had a client writing an offer and I was doing an amendment to contract. And I whipped out my iPad. Somebody else took over my car driving. And I did everything right then and there. So, and one of the things I could not do while I was driving. And so I on my iPad, so I went ahead and did my laptop. So, and I created a personal hotspot. So let's talk about personal hotspots and MiFi, and then I will always stop and ask for questions for you guys. So a personal hotspot you can create on your iPad, iPhone, or Droid, and it allows me to connect other people to my hotspot. So I'm just creating a mini place for them to get internet access. So here's what you can do. I can create a personal hotspot on my iPhone, and it allows my iPad, client's iPad, to get internet access, and then I can get my laptop to connect to my phone through the personal hotspot under the Wi-Fi settings, and so I can get internet access on all of those. Personal hotspots are great. You have to set them up through your carrier. So if it's AT&T, Sprint, T-Mobile, Verizon, whoever it is, you have to set it up through them directly. And once you do that, here's a quick Amy tip, meaning this is where I hear agents mess up. So you have to turn your phone or your device that you set it up on all the way off and then turn it back on. So then under settings, so I'm going to talk to Droid people. I go to sleep, iPhone, iPad people. It's under settings in general, and you'll see where it says personal hotspot right normally under Wi-Fi, cellular data, and then I'll say hotspot. So the personal hotspot is great. Fabulous. My personal hotspot runs through AT&T service, which is what I currently have. What I found, though, is then the personal hotspot is I found that there were areas of town that my AT&T service does not work. So what I did is got a MiFi, which is what's called Wi-Fi stands for wireless fidelity, and MiFi is Wi-Fi creates a huge network that people can get on. MiFi creates a smaller network, basically a My Fidelity, a wireless fidelity. So it's just a very small, and everyone's will be different. Mine allows me to allow 5 people to get on it. There are some that are up to 10 people, so it kind of depends on what you need. I have found with clients that they will show up with their iPads, but they don't have necessarily cell data. They only have the Wi-Fi data on there. So with a personal hotspot or a MiFi, I allow them to get access to my information. So by having Verizon as a MiFi, and I'm an AT&T user on my phone, it allows me to always be able to get on the internet and access no matter normally where I'm at. So just ideas for you. Everybody will ask me how much my MiFi costs and my personal hotspot. Both of them run about $40 a month if you do not go over limit. So kind of check your plans and see. Here's a quick Amy tip again before you get going is on the personal hotspots, depending on your carrier, if you're an AT&T user, I found is if you had unlimited data on your AT&T and you go create a personal hotspot, you will lose that grandfathered unlimited data. So please, please check with that. That may be worth you just getting a MiFi only. So I'm going to stop and ask for any questions. And Teresa and Trent, I know you guys are on the line. And so if you have any questions, type them. I have y'all muted for a reason. So I really do want to answer any questions because normally at this point, I have a million questions about creating a personal hotspot. And Teresa, I'm going to pick on your area. Down in like Market Street, down by Jasper's and all that. And if I'm not close enough to that Starbucks and I'm meeting the client down there, I could not get off their Wi-Fi. So I really struggled. So that's why I went ahead and got a MiFi. So for you guys, so just please on the right-hand side, you'll see, hopefully you guys are seeing my screen, that it'll tell you more than welcome to ask any questions. I want to be able to answer anything that you may need questions answered. So, no questions? Wow, yay. Okay. Plus company Wi-Fi. Okay, so Trent made a comment as his company Wi-Fi is never strong for me. Here is a great point. The other reason why I have MiFi is in this Starbucks. I found that this Starbucks vary per location on how strong their Wi-Fi is. Where I'm living in Burbank, there's a couple of ones that are really strong, but I would not host a webinar from them. I could Google Hangout a client or Skype them, but and that's why I normally always carry my MiFi. So just have those in your back pocket because invariably you'll need them once in a while. An iPad or tablet you have to have, and I don't care if you have a Droid or an iPhone, but I will, because they're pretty similar now. About a year and a half ago, I would have said iPhones still allow me more capability, but the Droids really are there. Where I'm still seeing a huge difference is the tablets. I had a agent show up on a class, and they had the new Windows Surface tablet. I couldn't help them. So many of the apps are not there. And you have to remember is I work with developers. One of the developers that I'm working with is seriously walking distance from my apartment here in Burbank. I work with a lot of software app developers, and they will always develop for the iPad first because it's the most global market for them. So just if you're thinking about buying tablets, great. If you're not, Trent, you have an iPad, is correct? And then Teresa, what do you have? Okay, so Trent, what do you have for an iPad? All right, what version, Trent and Teresa, do you have? And the reason why I'm asking is to kind of give you some insight so I can give you specifics. All right, you have an iPad too. All right, Teresa, some of the things we talk about won't necessarily be on your operating system on iPad 2. And that's not an issue, like it's not like bad or good. It just is what it is. With yours, Teresa, if there's something that can't be done on the iPad 2, and forgive me if I don't remember all of them, trying to keep up with all the different versions, just ask. You can always look under the App Store and find out. If you want to sell your current device and kind of want to upgrade, so let's say maybe you want to go to the iPad mini or the new iPad Air is coming out, you may want to look at selling your stuff on gazelle.com, and then you can sell it, and they're really reasonable unless you want to do like Craigslist or Amazon. Teresa, is it time to upgrade? I would wait till the iPad Air and see if that would fit into what you're trying to do. I'm really looking forward to the iPad Air and seeing how that's going to potentially implement with my business. So I'm waiting. I have an iPad 3. I did not go to the mini because of my client base. My clients range in age from 20 to 75. So my older clients do still like the bigger screen. I did not find that the weight of having a smaller one was really that much difference. So it's kind of what's good for you and your client base. So maybe that answers you. Trent, what version do you have on the iPad? The latest. Okay. So the point is with these is you don't have to get the latest and greatest, and you don't have to keep up with the newest things. But what you have to know is number one, your device. Number two is that your clients are showing up with iPads, iPhones, and Droids, and they probably have more knowledge than you do. So that's the downside. So let's go next thing, going mobile. Okay, the cloud-based email. I think Trent has this as a Gmail. Teresa, I think you have a Gmail account as well, but I may be wrong. I love Gmail. I think it's a fabulous tool. So don't get me wrong. I love it, but I am a old school because I grew up using Outlook in my business before I went into real estate. So I've been doing real estate for 18 years, but I used Outlook way before then. So I kind of gotten used to using Outlook. I like the look and feel of it. There's things that I like doing in Outlook. I do delay deliveries. So I will do delay delivery for a year later for a client. Once they close on a house, I say happy anniversary and I delay deliver it out. You can do that in Gmail as well, but you just have to do a reminder. So I don't care what cloud-based email you're using. I'm using a Microsoft Exchange or a Gmail. Those are the two hot ones. If you're using Yahoo or AOL, definitely get off AOL for business. You can use it for personal, but I want anything I do on my Mac or my PC is going to sync to my iPad and iPhone. So that's where I'm finding a lot of agents are seeing that be a problem. Last thing I want to do about, and I'll talk about Dropbox as well, websites. I'm finding a lot of y'all's websites are not what we call device centric. So what I want you to do when you get off the phone call here is pull up your website, whatever one you're using, on your iPhone and then iPad. You'll see that they look different. And here's the things I want you to look for is if I'm a consumer or a potential client of yours, I want to be able to quickly find a phone number. So if I do want to get a hold of you, I don't want to have to search for it. And I want a real email. I don't want it to go to an info email. And I'm going to say this as an agent. I'm finding that's very troublesome because the HR app does not allow me to search for another agent. So I'm having to Google you guys when I'm doing a deal with you. And I struggle to find information for you guys. So double check to make sure your website is device centric on that. So we're going to talk about foundational apps in just a second. But what I want to do is I'm going to take it to the mobile toolbox, and then I'm going to show you like things. We talked about the hotspot. We talked about MiFi. I have a little case that I carry around everywhere, so I keep it in my car. Chargers. Definitely have to have chargers, and I'm going to show you. So I'm going to go ahead and go and to my webcam. So forgive the way I look, guys. This is just Amy, the day in the life of Amy running 3 companies kind of thing. So hopefully you guys can see me. And if you can't, then let me just stop this. And can you guys see me okay? Yes, no, who cares? Can y'all see me on the webcam? Because it's not pulling up on mine. There we go. Can you guys see me? Hey, yeah. All right. So let's talk about chargers. And I know this sounds crazy, but chargers probably are one of the ways I make my clients happy. So number one, in my car, I have this. And you don't have to have this, but it's something very similar to this. It is to plug into the outlet. And then the cool thing about this one, and you can get these at Sprint stores. I got this one at a Shell store. It also allows me to pull out and do a wall charge. So it's great because I travel so much. I can just pull this out of my car, use it in a rental car, but as well as use it in a hotel. It has 2 USB ports. So what I've ordered, these are called retracts. So it allows me not to have stuff all over the place. I was getting tired of having cords all over the place. So this is 2 different USBs. So I can charge 2 people's phones at a time, or iPads, so that it's strong enough to charge an iPad. Here's a tip. So these, if you'll notice, are connectors for just a typical 4S for normal iPads. You may want to go ahead and get connectors that connect. And so what I have is I have different cords that will connect for a Droid person. So here's one for like the droids, for the different droids, as well as for the Lightning S. And so I've got different ones everywhere. And these I keep in my car. So I have a little separate like cord box for. And I find a lot of my clients show up and don't bring their chargers, or, oh crud, they forgot them somewhere else. So this has been just something simple, lifesaver. This was like $12 to buy this. And I will tell you, I have bought like 10 more of these and given them out to clients. So this is a really good tool for you guys. So Sprint has them at their store. But the problem with the Sprint one was it was bigger. I didn't want it to take up much space. So again, whatever you want. So the charger, one. And then another option is to do a Mophie on your iPhone. I had a Mophie. I got rid of it. The reason why I don't want it is because what I was finding is I was using my iPad so much that having a Mophie, which is a battery charger for an iPhone, wasn't solving my battery issue on my iPad. So what I got is this. It's called a New Trent, and Trent, you'll like that. It's newtrent.com. You can go and get it wherever you so choose. And there's tons of batteries. What this is, I can charge it with a DC input, AC DC input. Why I like it, it's 10 hours of battery life. It's a little bit heavy, but I can have output 1 and output 2. So normally output 1 is here, and then I have another green retract that goes in output 2. Output 2 is a turbocharge. So I can quickly charge my iPad, iPhone. I can charge other clients' phones. I can have it in my purse charging. And if you're out showing all day long, I will tell you your phone's going to die, and you can't leave it in the car when you're trying to show, especially if you're using a super key. So I just keep this in my purse, charge up, and my clients love it, and they normally charge off me. But it's newtrent.com. Quick Amy tip here. All of us have one in my house. So I just bought one a couple months ago for my daughter Molly that we're in LA with. But hold on, it was not DC chargeable. It was USB chargeable. Problem for me as a mobile agent is I do not want to have to take my laptop to charge my battery backup. So that has just stayed in the box. I'm going to have to find another one. I wasn't paying attention on the website. So just ideas for you guys. Use whatever you want. Here's the big thing. If you do a battery backup, as a matter of fact, I bought my parents one too. 10 hours, but make sure it can charge. It's strong enough to charge an iPad. One other quick Amy tip. You'll notice that I have color coding on everything. So we have color coding in our house. So if you have a lot of different people that have different devices in your house that all have iPads or iPhones, I got so tired of the girls going, oh, you stole my charger. No, I didn't. So all the girls have color coding. Pink is for my youngest. Lime green is for me. White or black is for my husband. And then purple is for my daughter, my oldest daughter. So we color code. With that being said, we color code all of our chargers as well. So here's one of the chargers, and my chargers are all color coded with my turquoise nail polish that I always wear on my toes. So everybody knows what it is. The youngest one's is pink. The oldest one's purple. They've gotten so trained at this. As soon as they get a new adapter, they immediately go to the nail polish and do it. And my husband's is black. So you can see this is the pink one. So it makes life easier. Nobody's stealing anybody else's. I have tried Sharpies. They don't work. I have tried little labels. They don't work. The only thing that I've seen stain on is nail polish. So And Trent, I'm not sure if you want to go get pink nail polish, but just ideas. That's kind of how we've color coded our house for you guys. So those are chargers. Oh, here's one other charger thing that I want to show you. I bought this. I actually have two of them. It's not great if you have a 5 or a 5S or a 5C, but for an iPhone, but for the iPads, it's great. So it's one USB and it splits to 2. So I can take this battery pack and plug it in, and now I can actually charge up to 3 devices. And if I had my other splitter, I could actually charge up to 4. This has been the biggest lifesaver and saved my biscuit. I can't tell you how many times. Questions on those things? Okay. Real quick, here's another tool that I don't know how much you would use it, but I've actually gotten clients that think this is really cool. It's a Jams. It's a Bluetooth wireless. I honestly bought this in the airport, but I've seen them at Walgreens, and I've bought a couple, and I've actually given them to clients. But it's a Bluetooth wireless, and this is actually a really good sound. I've gone through a ton of wireless ones and spent a fortune, and this is really good sound. I like it because I can run my iTunes through it. If you're going to do a presentation for a client, great. How I've used it sometimes is when my daughter has been doing warm up for volleyball, is I will run her Pandora through it, and they thought that's kind of cool. But you could run a listing presentation through this. But again, this is a Jams, Jamz, but just find one that's Bluetooth and make sure the sound quality is good. This one was $60. The one I found at Walgreens was like $20, and I bought for my daughter to take to Duke this past summer when she went to Duke to take a college course. So, and she said it was great. So again, different tools for you guys. Let's talk about headphones. Bluetooth, as a mobile agent, you'll notice I'm wearing the earpods that come straight with Bean that came when you get your phone or iPad. I have gone through, I cannot tell you how many headsets. So one of my headsets, this one I bought, and let me kind of get it out. This one has noise canceling. I bought it to listen to movies, and I thought to be able to talk on the phone, because in California you cannot, everything has to be wireless, hands off. I didn't pay attention when I bought this, and this was like an $80 piece of equipment, that it did not have a microphone built in. Bad me. Here's another one I bought, was the LG one that goes around your neck. And actually, I can't even find it because my daughter hated it so much. So the LG Bluetooth, it was awesome. And it was like about $79. Loved it. Except my youngest daughter says, "Mom, you look like you're wearing a dog collar around." So there goes my hipness. So I said, no more. Then my business wife bought me a boom mic. It is big, sits behind, and it was basically a $300 piece of equipment. You could be washing dishes, vacuuming, and nobody could hear you behind. I like it, but I don't want to wear it all the time because it's kind of big and it's actually kind of bulky to actually wear in my travel with or put in my car. So I have gone back to these $30 piece of equipment, and it works for me. But find some kind of wireless device. And also what I use this for is I record a lot of my text messages, my Facebook posts. I transcribe a lot of things that way as a mobile agent. So hopefully that answers any questions on different like headsets, that kind of stuff. Before you buy a headset, please, please, please ask me, because I've gone through like 7 different headsets. I've done the Jawbone. The Jawbone didn't work for my ears. They kept falling out. Clients would complain and they couldn't hear me. So please let me know what ones. Here's another microphone I've used. This is goes on my iPad. It does not go to an iPhone, and it's a boom mic. And I have about 4 different microphones I use for when I video record on my iPhone or iPad, whether it's personal or business. And I also have on my iPad a wide angle lens for my iPad, and a wide angle video lens. So if I'm going to video a property or do a wide angle lens for just photos. And then I use an app called, so Trent said Jawbone worked great for you. I went through about 3 Jawbones, and I just could not get it to work stay in my ear because I have tiny little ears. So jawbones mostly work great for a lot of people. I went through so many of them to find what worked for me. So, and that's kind of what my thing is. Before you buy them, talk to other people, because I didn't. I just randomly bought. On the wide angle camera lens, find, I have, if you want the link, I'll send it to you guys, but I've ordered all of mine online through a certain supplier. So it's kind of nice. And then you can kind of fix your photos, and guys, don't break Article 12 of code, but I can fix my photos using an app called Snapseed. Snapseed. So Trent was saying the Jawbone ERA was the only one that worked for him. Here's my MiFi spot. I just want to show you this. And then I know this is stupid. These are US SD card readers. I bought them for personal use to take photos off my Nikon and put them on my iPad. Then I could put them up to Flickr or to my Dropbox or on Facebook. I cannot tell you how many times I have used these with clients that have taken their nice big cameras and wanted to send pictures to the kids. So I'll use these and get them off their camera. I will create like an Animoto slideshow, and then I'll email it to them so that they can send the kids kind of a quick slideshow presentation of what they bought. So that's another thing I bought. I also carry around extra sets of headsets all the time because I have a Hulu account and a Netflix account. And with my iPad, I can give them over my iPad, and here's the extra set I carry. I can, if the parents are being distracted too much, I can give them that. The kids, here's Hulu, go watch a cartoon, and it kind of helps calm everybody down. The other reason recently happened is I carried the extra headsets in, is I had clients that showed up with iPads, and they had very, very young kids, and their games were so loud, and the parent was not saying, let's turn it down. And I said, oh, I have an extra set of headsets. Do you guys want to use them? And the parent was like, yes. And I could tell the noise was bothering her, but she didn't have a headset. So I actually always bring, and I need to actually add one more to kind of my repertoire when I'm out showing. I use Square to accept lease applications. I don't do a ton of those, but you don't need this device to accept it. PayPal here has another option. I have that one as well, but Square was the first one, and that's one I used. And I also have a microphone headset splitter. So if I only have one iPad, and I can split the microphones and the kids can watch one iPad and show. So that's another thought process. And last thing that I have to have is I still have to revert to the old USB flash drives. Every once in a while, nothing else is going to work. This is my standby, and I always carry two with me just in case. So these are some, things that revert to. I am going to stop my webcam so you don't want to see my ugly mug anymore, and go back to kind of a couple things that I found that I had to have for being a total mobile agent. Teresa, do you have a Mac or do you have a PC? And Trent, what do you have? Because I'm going to give you different things for you guys. All right, so both of you all have PCs. Okay, so you're beautiful. You may have different programs than I have listed up here, but I could not be a mobile agent if I could not take things from my PC or my Mac and put them into PDF. So when I go out to show, all my agent reports are in a PDF. I'm totally paperless, I'm virtual, and totally digital. So all of my agent reports, when I go to show, I print to PDF, and they go into my Dropbox, and I pull them up and I annotate. If I go on a listing presentation, all the comps are all put into a PDF, and then put into, of course, saved in Dropbox, and then I pull them up and I annotate before I go out. So you've got to be able to create PDFs. And here's the other thing you have to do. If for some reason, let's say, Teresa, you sent me an offer, and I've seen this quite a bit, is you'll send me an offer and you'll send me a copy of the buyer rep agreement, the copy of the IABS, and the general information and notice to buyer form. Well, I don't need that. I don't need to send it on to my sellers. So having one of these PDF editing programs, if you don't want to do the full-blown Adobe version, allows you to create them. PDF 995 is free. There's a $30 one that's you can use as well. There's PDF edit part of their package. Again, it depends on the other thing that I wanted to tell you, and this is totally up to you, I found Cute PDF and PDF 995 were not as user-friendly as I needed and as robust. So a lot of times I'd have agents send over locked PDFs, or let's say, Trent, you forgot to check a box and I needed to just do a strikeout and initials and stuff. I found I needed a little bit more robust editing program without going back to Adobe's full-blown version. So on my PC, I stuck with nitropdf.com. It was about, I think, $129 for the software. But for me, the ease of use was unbelievable because I could extract individual pages. I could reorder pages. If one of you guys sent me an offer and the pages were, you know, up and down, and then one page was horizontal, I could flip that page. So it gives me a lot of editing power, and I can merge multiple PDFs. So Teresa asked, can I merge multiple PDFs? So let's say hypothetically, I had a seller's disclosure and I wanted to merge the MUD disclosure and I wanted to merge like relocation documents. I can merge them all in together in there. PDF 995, you can, if it's called PDF edit version, I still like the Nitro PDF because it allows me to add multiple documents. So let's say, hypothetically, Teresa, I'm going to play devil's advocate here. Relocation company sent you addendums, and they want one page first, and then all the others, they don't care. So let's say like the instructions on how to write a relocation offer. So you had that as a PDF, you would put that first, and then I could throw in seller's disclosures, and I can choose before or after. I can choose what page it comes after. I can choose to flip and rotate a page. I can choose to mark up and highlight a page. So I've got a lot of editing power on there. So I love this because I can merge multiple PDFs to that. Here's the next thing. So I know this again sounds weird. If I'm on my iPad, so I want, if you're taking notes or just listening and when you get this recording later, if I get an offer on my iPad and I want to send it on to my seller, or I just want to look at it, there's a lot of different PDF editing programs. Find one you like. These are the most popular ones for iPads. Listen, iPads. I use iAnnotate because it was the most notable one out before PDF Expert, but both of these do the same exact thing. So if one of you guys sends me a contract on a PDF, I can look at it on my iPad. I can highlight it. I can cross through. I can type on top of it. I can make notes to my clients and send it over to them. I can only send one page. So if you sent me like a 20-page document and I just needed to send the, let's say the page 9 or page 8, the executed date, and I only need to send that page, I could send that to you. So these are the two popular ones for iPads. On my iPhone, I have what's called Neo Annotate. It's NEU.annotate. iAnnotate used to be on iPhones, but it got so robust that the iPhones couldn't handle it. So Neo, NEU.annotate, is allowed on your iPhones, iPads, as well as Droids. So if you only want to learn one PDF editing program for your mobile device, that may be an option, as well as PDF Expert. I've stuck with iAnnotate because they just seem to be pretty robust, and I'm going to show you on the screen what iAnnotate looks like. So I don't know how many, do you guys both go out and show without paper? I'm not sure how you guys show, but I'm going to mirror my iPad on the screen to you guys, okay? So when I go out to go show property or go on a listing presentation, I put everything in Dropbox and I share the folder. So as soon as I get a brand new client, or even a prospect, there's 3 things I immediately set up. I set up a Dropbox folder for them. I set up an email folder for them. And I set up an Evernote notebook for them. So those are my 3 things that I can, okay, so you just still do an old school showing, this booklet. I'm going to show you guys another thing. So Teresa, if you'll remind me, I'm going to show you what I send ahead of time. Okay. So just don't let me forget. So let's say I'm going to go out and show this client. And I'm going to show, and let me do another one that's a little bit better for you guys. And guys, these are real clients, so please know that don't take advantage of it. So let's say I created the PDF from either Tempo or Fusion on my PC. This is the agent report. And what I'll do is in the upper right-hand corner, I'm going to open it in iAnnotate. Dropbox requires me to have an internet connection. So what I have found is if it's not a good internet connection where I'm at, I don't like the time that it sometimes takes to load in. So what I do is I open it in iAnnotate, or you can use PDF Expert. What I like about this is when I would print off showing reports, I would put them in order of like what ones are going where. I do all of that on my PC using, you could use, like we talked about, Nitro PDF. And then I would make showing instructions there. But what I love about iAnnotate, it allows me, if you'll notice up here, there's tabs. It allows me to not be on an internet. So I could go back and forth between different things. So let's say Calico Canyon they were going to see, and let's go back to Dropbox. So I pull everything that we are going to, going to go see before we go out, and I put it in iAnnotate so I can go back and forth. I had the archives, I have the tax records. So as soon as, but I do this on a good Wi-Fi, so I don't have to worry about them going, oh my gosh, and I'm flipping through pages. I just go back and forth. If you can see, I'm just going back and forth between the 2 tabs. And here's what's cool about iAnnotate is down here, I can do a text, is a typewriter, and I can say Supra front door, because maybe the agent this maybe was not through CSS, and maybe this was an agent one, alarm code, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4. And so I have it at the top of my screen, so it saves in there. So I don't have to worry about, so it's no different how I would write my show instructions at the top. And then the last thing I do when I go out to show is I pull up the tax records, I pull up the archive, and I pull up the agent reports, and I pull all that in. It's all saved in Dropbox, and then I put it in iAnnotate. Then what I do is, and this sounds silly, is I go into showings.com with the CSS, and I print to PDF the showing instructions. So that would have been again, another one that would be, so all I'm doing is I'm going back and forth between the 2 of these things. And let me go back so you guys can see if I have some showing instructions that I put on for this one. Let's see if this is one. And you guys, again, are seeing real life things that I'm doing out there in the field. The next Evernote webinar is not, that's not the one I want. So showing instructions, there we go. The next Evernote webinar is not till, I'm going to schedule today, the rest of them, and I'll let you guys know. But I'm going to do Evernote fundamentals, all of this, and using it different ways. But here's cool. So now I'm out showing. I have the listing report, and then all I have to do is go showing instructions, and I go, okay, there it is on Cedar Creek. I know what they are. And so I just go back and forth between the 2, and that's all I do. And everything's there. And the cool thing about this is if you've ever given an agent report to a client, they can't see half the crud on the screen. So what I love about having it here and go, yes, and the square footage is 1,500 square feet, because they can see it as a much bigger thing. Also, a quick Amy tip If I'm out showing, let's say Ashford Square, and I think it looks like crap, and excuse my expression, I don't know, I can say yucky home. So as soon as I have to do showing feedback, I can go into iAnnotate and copy this and just put it in showing instructions. So I don't have to like double do things for you guys. So I'm hoping maybe that will give you, I have a class that's going to be Agent on the Go, just working with all of these apps, just with buyers. So here's the apps that I want you to learn before you get any further. So I know we're getting close on time, but I kind of want to make sure I get everything for you guys. Trent, do you have a laptop or a PC? And then Teresa, what do you have? Do you have a laptop or a PC? All right, Teresa, for you, what do you log into the most? Are you using your PC or are you using your laptop the most? Okay, so you guys both have both. Okay, so here, oh, this is actually key for both of you. And I don't get this a lot, so this is fabulous. You guys need to decide how you're going to use your workflow with cloud computing. So Teresa, you mentioned Dropbox, and that may be a good tool for you. You need to decide, are you going to remote log into your PC, not a laptop, but like a PC tower? So from your iPads, you can actually take over your computer, which is great if you want true MLS access. Hint, hint, true MLS access with HAR. And so I do not have an option of having a PC tower. So I have to, unfortunately, only use my laptop. So remote logging in is not a great option for me. But if you want to remote log in, here's a couple of different ones. TeamViewer is my favorite. It's fast. The mouse mimics just a typical mouse that you would have. So your iPad screen takes over your computer and your iPad screen looks like your computer. SugarSync is a really cool tool if, only if, you have multiple computers, and it will sync the look of all the computers so that no matter what computer you're on. Great for teams, great if you have like a PC at the office, a laptop at home, and you have another PC at home that you're using. SugarSync would be an option. And then here's some, again, other ones that would be good options. And no one is better than the other. I do like TeamViewer because I find that the developers are they like fast, and they understand that the consumer view wants to be able to log in remotely. My husband uses TeamViewer all the time, and he is an engineer. So he logs in from work to our home computer if he needs to grab something. He does use Dropbox, but sometimes he needs to access a software program that's only at work or at home. And so this is where that's fabulous for. Let's talk about accessing through the cloud. I use Carbonite is my attic. So when I started using Dropbox, Dropbox was only my active files. So I would take them from my C drive under my documents and put them into Dropbox, and Dropbox became my briefcase. So it was only active files. That way I didn't have to pay for Dropbox space. I was kind of being cheap, if you will. And then once the file closed, and I would move it Dropbox, and I just drag and drop it back to my documents. And then Carbonite would back it up. So Carbonite became my attic, like the storage system that you would put up, the banker boxes that you would put up in your attic. So Carbonite would back up my files. Dropbox became my briefcase. So now, truthfully, Dropbox, I have so much free space now on Dropbox that because I share files, I share folders with clients on Dropbox. I don't use it as a briefcase anymore. I almost use it as my documents. But I think you need to find how you work if you're still just starting to use them. But here's what I want you to understand. Dropbox will not allow you to restore if your hard drive crashes. Carbonite allows you to restore. So like say you have, and I went through 3 hard drive crashes last year before I got my Mac. And Carbonite saved my biscuit. So I just went on the new computer, carbonite.com, hit restore. I went into Outlook and I typed in my codes, and all my Outlook stuff came in. So by using those 2 clouds, I did not lose data. So those are 2 options for you. And this is normally where I get cool. Okay, so Trent, you're using Google Drive, which is totally fine. these are the ones, and I have box.net on here, but it's also now box.com. All of these integrate with with like DocuSign Ink and all of those. So those are kind of the keys. So just, find what works for you. And Teresa, you're using Dropbox, correct? If Teresa, you're using Carbonite, perfect, and it just saved you too. So perfect. That's what I like to hear, that you guys are, and you do use Dropbox. Start sharing, files on Dropbox as well. So this is kind of a quick illustration. And then Evernote is my brain. So the old ways, I used to have spiral notebooks and write down counter offers when I'd go on a listing appointment, all the showing instructions. I would use spiral notebooks for everything, writing down somebody's number, everything. Evernote has become my spiral notebook and my brain. I cannot live without Evernote. And I have learned to integrate it slowly into my business practice. And now I don't know how I did without it, because it is killer. As a matter of fact, I finally got my husband to start using it just in his business practice too, because you can create templates, you can create checklists, lots of cool things. So I have an Evernote fundamentals webinar that I do. I have it how I use Evernote with sellers and how I use Evernote with buyers. And then I have an advanced one. So maybe try those. Foundational apps. These are ones I cannot go without. We talked about all of these, but DocuSign Ink. I don't know if you're using DocuSign Ink. How many are using those? I actually asked my clients to download DocuSign Ink because it's free for them. And I found that there's a lot of things that they have to sign during the moving process, like medical release forms, school enrollment forms, those type of things. So they don't have access to like a fax machine or a printer. So I tell them to use DocuSign Ink. One of the first things I ask is what kind of device you have with my clients. So I give them, first initial phone call, I give them my listing presentation or my buyer presentation that's online. It's a video of me online. And then I give them a list of apps to download to make the transaction easier. So DocuSign Ink for me is great because I can do so much with it. I can sign on my screen in person. I can send it out for signatures. It just allows a lot of mobility. Here's one thing, ZipForm's mobile site. I am working with a company called New Offer in California. And if I could write a contract on New Offer in Houston or in Texas, it would be so much easier than the zip forms. I hate the zip forms. I hate to write a contract on zip forms. Part of it is because I do a lot of background work. So I do real quick. I don't know if y'all want this, but I'm going to tell you, when I write an offer, I write, and for my buyers to sign, I write 2 envelopes for them to sign. One is the offer part that goes to the listing agent, and the other is all my CYA. Do you guys want me to give you all the stuff that I do on the back side, or do you want me just to keep going? Okay, so the offer packet, of course, is the 1 to 4 family, third party, seller's disclosure, MUD, all of that. Anything that I would send to a listing agent that I, let's say earnest money checks. And by the way, I hate dealing with earnest money checks and option checks. This is ridiculous in this day and age that we're doing that. So I try to have my buyers wire into the title companies their earnest money. And I ask the buyers from the get-go, do they have a PayPal account? And I ask sellers, do they have a PayPal account? Because I would rather you PayPal the option money to my sellers. I do not want to have to run around picking up checks. This is ridiculous in this day and age with all the mobility in baking. So just FYI on that. My see, Trent agrees. Mobile banking has been around for so long that I just cannot believe we're doing so old school on this part of it. So my buyer packet. So I call it a buyer information packet. What I do on the buyer information packet is I do the TAR 1506, which is the General Information Notice to Buyer form, IABS. I do the buyer rep. I get a clean copy of that. I do Google Earth of property. Google of sellers' names. Oops. Google of address. Google of HOA. I LinkedIn sellers' names. FB sellers' names. I don't normally look for them on Twitter because they may have a different handle and they may not. So I don't normally do that one. I make the buyer sign an archive report of the property. I make them sign an agent report of the property. I make them sign comps of the property. I make them sign tax records of the property. And a couple of other things that I just do. But those kind of hopefully gives you an idea of what I make them sign. And again, it's totally up to you, but the hard part is doing that packet mobily. I can, but I still prefer to do it on my PC because it's faster for me, and I make them sign it. Everybody uses different digital signature programs. If you are going to use the digital ink with zip forms, are you guys using that digital ink with zip forms? That's the free version. If you're using that and you're sending a contract to another agent, you need to tell them to download iZip or Zip File Viewer. I got so frustrated that I was getting all of these contracts earlier this year on listings or back from you guys from sellers, and it would be from Digital Ink, and it was a zip file. Well, you can't open a zip file on iPad. So if you have an agent kind of like giving you grief about it, just tell them to download iZip or Zip File Viewer. Okay. If I want to have them sign, like for IABS, if I'm with them in person and I'm not virtually, so I have showing agents that live stream videos to me when they go show for me. So if I'm not with them in person, they live stream videos to me using Quick or Ustream. But if I am with them in person, then what happens is I will have them sign the IABS straight on my iPad. There is a stylus that I like, and I actually gave it away, so I need to go get another one. So I keep a blank form of IABS in my Dropbox. The old way is I used to keep blank forms in my car, because I'm old. But now I keep everything in Dropbox. So I do under buyer rep template, I have the IABS form. And so I just open it up and I just keep it in iAnnotate if it's the first time out with a buyer. And then I just have them sign on the screen. So here's a quick Amy tip. If you're using either PDF Expert or iAnnotate, I scroll down and then I click on the pencil, which is over on the right-hand side here. Then if they're using a stylus or the Jot stylus or their finger, they can sign, date, whatever it is. And then right from there, I immediately email it out to my client and I carbon copy myself so I have a record of it as well. So that's about the only thing I have my clients sign on the screen in front of me, because I still like using the digital signing programs because I think it's easier to track. A lot of agents, do different things. So it kind of depends on what you get. Here is one quick Amy tip before we get going and wrap up. If you ever get an agent that sends you a 9 pages of individual JPEGs for the offer, I don't know if you've ever had that happen. The app I use is called Photo to PDF. So I'm looking at it on my iPad and they sent that to me. I can look at the individuals on my iPad, convert them to PDFs, and then send them on to my sellers. So I use that one. It's called Photo to PDF. Here's another one I use is Jot Not Pro. And yeah, I know so I'm glad y'all hate it and I'm not the only one that hates it. It frustrates me because to me, as soon as an agent sends a JPEG file to me, I immediately don't think great things about them, thinking this is going to be a rough transaction. So here's another thing I do. So let's say I have to do a lease application. I have to actually pick it up in person because they can't fax it. I use an application called JotNot Pro. So I can, and there's quite a few out there, but I can fax from that app. I can share to Dropbox. I can email. So if I have a physical piece of paper that I need to send out and I don't have access to a fax machine or a scanner, I do it through JotNot and it creates a multi-page PDF. So I actually train my sellers on how to use this with seller's disclosures. So the 5 page of the seller's disclosure that they've filled out for me, they need to get it back to me. I train them on how to do this and digitally send it to me using that. Also, I've had trained the sellers for a reason to use this when they do have to do receipt repairs. I found when they would scan them into me and send them to me that I couldn't, because the way the invoice qualities were, they were pretty crappy. So by using JotNot Pro, they scan it in there. They can either fax it to me, which costs them, so I just tell them to email it to me, and it's a clearer copy of those receipts, and then I can send it on to an agent. There's a couple of them. I'm going to give you other ones. Turbo Scanner is popular. Cam Scanner is another popular one. I just use JotNot Pro, and that's become like my go-to. And then I want to show you one last thing before we exit. Is I talked about having I have a website that I upload all of my listing presentations to. And again, you don't have to do this, but so as soon as I get a call for listing information, I'm in Evernote. I use a website called Issuu, ISSUU.com, and it creates a magazine of my listing. So they can just easily flip through it. So here's what I send out as soon as I get a listing call. It was great talking with you today, and I look forward to meeting you via in-person Google Hangout, Skype, or FaceTime. Notice I give them options. I will be sending you a time bridge meeting event to set our appointment time. So I have another webinar that I do about time management. So here is the information about Urban Provisions Realtors, which is my company. When they go to it and they click on it, it'll be, and if this is, again, Issuu, this is the free site. It's an online magazine. So they just flip through the pages. So I don't print any buyer packets off. I don't print any seller packets off. Everything is done digitally. And if I have any backlash from them, I just say I'm going green and I don't print. So, and then I have a little video about me that they get. And so this is immediately. So I have these pre-formulated in Evernote. I have pre-formulated FAQs in Evernote, like home warranty companies, utility companies. So all of that's in Evernote. Again, that's a different class. So those are some ideas. What else? Okay, so questions for me. So I'm going to stop talking. Tell me like ideas. Now, guys, I gave you an overview, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do an agent on the go for just buyers, how I use all of these tools, tech tools, just for buyers. And then I have a ton of tech tools I use just for sellers. But this is an overview, and then I'm going to do, this is just building the starting points, and then I'm going to tell you in depth how I use it on a day-to-day basis. Okay, so it is a lot of information. That's why the follow-up webinars I do with just like, okay, we talked about all this stuff. Now I break it down into hands-on. So the next webinars for Agent on the Go, like for the sellers, I make you actually get on your iPad. I give you a task to do. And so you're actually doing things. I find real estate agents don't tend to, they get on these webinars and they never do anything after, just because we never have time. So I make you do it during the webinar, and so that you can ask me questions if you're stumbling. And so those are the follow-up series that I break it down into step by step. Again, this was kind of an overview of things that you need to start getting ready for. So foundational apps you have to have. And then I will put all of this on my SlideShare account, and so you can pull them off there. And I will also send this recording to you guys after this. So what other questions do you guys have? All right, so everyone's a little overload. So guys, here's the thing. All I care about you learning is number one, how to use your iPad. So if you don't know how to use your iPad, like there's a lot of tools that real estate agents just don't know about their iPads and their iPhones. I can do a seminar about that, or you can go to the Apple Store. Number two is learning the foundational apps. Carbonite, Dropbox, and Evernote are key. Don't worry about all of the other tools. Just learn those, or sign up for one of the Evernote webinars, and then that will kind of help you guys too. So don't sweat it. You're going to get this. And the cool thing, all right. So digital ink free. The reason why I stay away from digital ink is my clients are normally engineers and accountants and attorneys, so like very type A. And I found that I was having, and they were pretty smart, not necessarily always tech smart, but pretty savvy in general. I found I was having to explain a lot to them using digital ink, and they got frustrated. But when I used DocuSign, I found that it made the transition easy for them. And I actually found some of the bigger corporations were actually using DocuSign within their company. So they were already using Dropbox and DocuSign in their corporate world. So it made it a lot easier. So when I get on the phone, and this is maybe an idea for you guys, I still use DocuSign. I believe so heavily in it that with my brokerage firm, we give it to my agents for free. I still believe in branding so much. I actually pay for headshots for my agents to get. So I'm big into DocuSign because they're not just for real estate, they're for so many other products. And so I find that my clients are better served using it. Also, and this is my disclaimer, I used to serve on the task force with DocuSign. And so I would be talking to the DocuSign people all the time about fix this, fix that, fix that. So I still stay true to them. But that's why I say that is like, I believe so heavily in DocuSign. I believe in branding. So that's why I pay for my agents to have professional headshots done the way I want them to look. And I have photographers in Austin and Dallas and Houston. And actually I have an LA photographer that will go out to Dallas and photograph some of my agents in Houston. So I'm using different techniques to kind of get those out there. Again, it just what works for me versus maybe potentially what works for you guys. So what other questions you guys have? And what I would tell you guys to do is come to the next and you'll see how I break it down. I know it's kind of information overload, but I would start with Dropbox. Sharing folders. If you're not sharing folders, I share subset of folders on Dropbox. I put everything into the Dropbox now that I can. It becomes my documents. And then I'm using Evernote for so many things. I can't believe how much I'm using Evernote. And that's why I'm doing webinars, because I didn't realize the power of Evernote for you guys. So no other questions? All right. If you guys have any questions, you can, again, of course, contact me through Facebook, text, or email me, and y'all should all have that. Sharing with clients. All right. So what I do is what I found when I was, I got very frustrated with clients that would call me a year later and go, I need a copy of that survey. Well, they had the survey because I would forward it from an email. Well, they don't want to have to go back through their emails. So what I found is every time I get an email attachment for a client transaction, like whether it be the survey, the title commitment, the floor plan, whatever it may be, I open it in from my email in a PDF program, and then I save it into Dropbox. And then I share that folder. So they have their own file digitally. And so everything, executed contract, the executed home one, all of that. So a year later, they're not calling me. They have one place to go to. The other reason why I do a shared a shared Dropbox, and this is an idea. I share it. I have certain lenders that I share Dropboxes with. So I share the subfolder of a Dropbox with my lender and my buyers. What I was finding is my buyers were scanning in all the documentation that they needed to send to the lenders, and then the lenders weren't getting it because their firewalls wouldn't allow that big of a file. And so what I had them start doing is putting everything in the Dropbox. And quite a couple of my lenders said, oh my God, this is so much simpler, because they don't have to go back through emails going, did I get that back from the buyer? Did I get that back from the buyer? The buyers go put it in the Dropbox. It's one digital file for my lenders. And then after the transaction closes, I uninvite the lender so they have no access to that. That has been an awesome tool, but you have to have a lender that's going to work with you on that. Also, I won't work with title companies that do not allow me to Skype, Google Hangout, or FaceTime in for closing. And if they do not allow earnest money wires to come in, I will not work with you. And if they start getting anywhere that's not digital with me, like if they give, I've been to a couple of closings in person and they hand me like paper file, and I look at them and say, no, you can scan that in and email us me. So I am forcing title companies to come to the 21st century. And there's one title company that everybody loves, that I don't like because I don't like them. So but how if you close a file and it's in the attic? So what I do is when I close a file like in MLS, and then what I do is I go into Outlook, and if you're using Gmail, as I export all of the emails to Dropbox for that client. Then I move it out of Dropbox into my documents, and then Carbonite picks it back up. But if you're only going to use Dropbox for your My Documents, Carbonite's automatically going to pick that up. So that's how I used to do it. Oh, no. Okay, so Trent's asking a really good question. So if my client wants it a year later, if I have shared a Dropbox with somebody, I do not move it out of Dropbox to Carbonite. I just keep it in Dropbox. So they can always have that access. Did that answer that question, Trent? And I will tell you, I talk with my clients. Number one, what kind of phone do you have? Number two, are you comfortable with doing everything digitally signing? Number three, are you familiar with Dropbox? I create a shared folder for us so you have all of that. And I know that a lot, like I use Back Agent for my digital office system, and I think, and Tracy, y'all do too. I don't share the transactions from there. And part of it's because I still want control of it. And the other part of it is my client base is comfortable with Dropbox because they've been using it. So by sharing a Dropbox folder to them, they like it. When I started sharing like SureClose files with Stuart with them, they didn't like it. They don't like me sharing Back Agent with them. So I've had to talk their language and make them comfortable. And y'all using Back Agent too? See, you don't either. And I'm glad to hear that, because I thought I was the only one doing that, because I feel kind of ridiculous, almost double dipping, but the clients aren't comfortable with it. And the clients are comfortable with Dropbox just because they hear it, they've seen it, kind of thing. So, and Trent, I use Back Agent. Teresa, y'all use Back Agent. I love Back Agent. Eric and I are dear friends, and I work with them on developing new stuff too. I've given them a whole to-do list, but I don't want to share my files with them, or even with another agent. I am actually getting to the point when I'm doing a deal with another agent, I want to ask, are you digitally signing or not? Because I'm getting very frustrated with agents that are not doing things very efficiently. And I'm not saying to be paperless, but they're not being efficient in the way they do things. Oh, I'll get back to the office and send this to you 2 days later. So I have gotten kind of a little bit snobby about that, because I think in this day and age with the free digital services we have with signing, that we should be utilizing them. But if y'all have questions, and we've 10 minutes over, so I didn't mean to keep all this long, but I did want to answer your questions. If you have questions on the side, please. And I will be posting all my next webinars up probably in the next few hours, and get those up so you guys can see. I will be doing an Agent on the Go kind of seminar series, breaking down all the apps, and I'll just be doing Evernote, like step by step, how I use it with different things. So have a fantastic day. Have a great one. Real quick, Teresa asked, are you having clients re-sign in purpose at closing? The only time I have to have them re-signing person at closing is if I have a lender that fights me. So I have actually fought lenders when they say I need wet signatures. I say, no, you can get them at closing. I'm not going to resign, because if you want me to have them resign, everybody resign in person, that's going to take a week and a half. So you will take what I give you, unless it's a short sale in some foreclosure companies. But then if they want me to sign in person, so I tell my buyers, like, and sellers, we're going to do this digitally, but if the lender comes back, we may have to sign wet in person, and everybody's okay with that, it seems like, but they don't want to have to like go around and meet people. So I just kind of set the precedence with that. And I actually fight a lot of the banks, just because also with Wells Fargo and B of A, I know the big wigs there, corporate wise, that do the short sales and foreclosures. So that we've had dinner or drinks, and I have laid it out that that's ridiculous that we have to do this. So they kind of know my feelings. So I fight it with that. So, I kind of just want you guys to like use the tools you have, and don't let another agent, tell you what to do. All right. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. And then if you have questions, great. Let Facebook me or text me. And then I'm going to go ahead, and once this recording is converted, it takes sometimes a couple hours or so. Once it's recorded and converted, I will send it out to you guys so you have that for later. Have a fantastic day, guys. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.